Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Odd Virginia. I am Alex Koska, and I'm so glad I can be here tonight to share another show with you. For a little bit there, I thought I wasn't going to have a show for this weekend. I was kind of bummed out. Had a couple of interviews lined up, and they fell through for various reasons. But a friend of mine reached out online, said, "Hey, I heard you had a podcast, and I'd love to be on it." And I said, "Sure, I'd love to have you on it." And then he was like, "Okay, so what's it about?" And I was just like, "Well, it's about sharing personal paranormal experiences that you've had within Virginia." And he was like, "Well, I could tell them about the witch house." And my ears perked up. I was like, "All right, we're on. The witch house sounds dope. Let's get it going." And I thought we'd have just a really short interview for a short episode this week, but it turns out not to be the case. This guy has got a lot of stuff that he could share with us, and he did. And it's all going down in this interview today that we're about to listen to. But before we do, I just want to let you know, if you have had a paranormal experience in Virginia, if you know any weird history or local legends, I'd love to have you on the show, or at least just have you share these things with me. So you can email us here at oddvirginia@protonmail.com. That is oddvirginia@protonmail.com. We'd really love to hear from you. And if you're enjoying it, feel free to share the show with your friends. We don't have a really big listener base right now, so every listen counts. But yeah, if you want to share a story, please get in contact with me. I'm not an expert on these matters, so I can't really say whether or not your story is true. But every story on Odd Virginia is true according to the people sharing them. And that's what matters, because here at Odd Virginia,
we're ready to believe you.
All right, so today in the studio, I've got an interview with Q, a friend of mine who came in to save my neck. I had 2 interviews lined up, and for different reasons, they both weren't able to make it. And it's coming down to the wire, and Q swoops in like a golden eagle to save the day for me. Q, I just want to say thank you so much for coming in and doing this interview. What you've told me so far about your story sounds absolutely epic, and I can't wait to hear the rest. But before we get into all that, I just want to ask you real quick if you could give us a brief bio, where you grew up, where you live, how old you are, what you do, anything you really want to share on the public record.
Okay. Well, I'm Q, or Quentin, but everybody call me Q. And I live in Stanton. I've been here for about 17 years. I work at a cell phone company selling cell phones. I try to take care of my people. And also, I am 36. I just turned 36 October the 5th. I'm a big Libra.
Hey, happy birthday.
Hey, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, so this is your special birthday episode of Odd Virginia. I want everybody to put their party hats on for this one.
Sweet.
All right, so about your story, you basically just enticed me right away when you said the words witch house. And we're not talking about the kind of music witch house. We were talking about something I imagined to be something much different. I was thinking of like an abandoned house, but I'll let you tell that story.
Yep. I am telling a story about the witch's house, and I had a few different experiences with it. Now, the witch's house, it is in Verona, Virginia, and it is located on Limestone Road. And I know that to get there, you go down Ball Rock Road. Ball Rock Road, I just always remember it as like when you're about to get there, it's like you take this turn, and like suddenly it's like the turn of doom because it's so sharp and it goes down, and it's unexpected the first time like around. And you get to the house on Limestone Road, and it is rumored, like the thing back in the day was that it was a witch's house. Like people was doing some, gnarly things there, and like there was trees like growing upside down in the yard, and that's like that's what everybody would always talk about, with the trees growing upside down.
What do you mean trees growing upside down? Was that like an actual thing, or is that just sort of something that is that hearsay as well?
Well, I found out that I guess when they said like trees growing upside down, it was like trees like growing through the house, like, and you could see the branches, but it didn't have leaves every time we went. So
that is weird.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to know more about. Can you like describe the house, or do you want to tell us about the first time you went there? I don't know. Take it however you want to from the beginning, I guess.
Well, it was always like just me working at a fast food restaurant back in the day with my friends. I think I was working at Wendy's, and we would always get together. We lived in a little trailer park over there, Meads, because, it was what it was. But it was cool. I had like a little camaraderie. One of my guys, he worked at Pizza Hut and would always bring free pizza, and we'd sit around the Jeep and just talk And then that's when I found out about it, and they was talking about like how scary it was, and like people can actually get possessed when they go there. And I'm just like, come on, man. And like I'm a big paranormal freak. Like,
Yeah.
I don't watch horror so much that like nothing surprises me in them, nothing scares me. Like the best thing I could do is get creeped out because it's a really good like storyline or something.
Now, if somebody said that, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, man.
Well,
Like I think probably the scariest thing that could happen to a person. Like, sorry, your body's not yours anymore. Good luck with the rest of your eternity.
me, for real. Like, you're right. Like most people would, and like most people did. Like as soon as they was like, nah, I'm not doing it. I have friends who have been there who said they wasn't gonna go, and now for real, like they would never go back. Like you could give them like $200,000 cash, and they would not go back. I mean, me, I done had some experiences there, but I probably would go back. But I feel like maybe it's not even there anymore because I haven't been there in a really long time. But you know, being young, dumb, and full of curiosity, like and wanting to like feel that spooky feeling that you can't get from a horror movie, I was like, I want to go to this place.
Yeah, once you've watched enough horror movies, it just takes the edge off.
Yeah, for real. Like, and we went to, like, the first time we went, it was with like a group of people, and also about like how it looked. I like never know how it looked truly because I've never seen it in the daytime. I've been there multiple times, but they all have been at night, like during different seasons. One time it was really cold, and like this owl was just like hooting, like. And I went this time, like I stayed because something I felt like it was off, so I just stayed by the car. But to backtrack, the first time that we went, it was like with a group of people who all agreed to go, and we had like, it was like a platoon, if you're familiar with that, like squads. Like we had like 3 people in front, then 3 people in the middle, then 3, and then like you got 3 people in the end.
My God, that it really is a squad. That's more like a party.
It was a bunch of cars full of people that got out, and I remember I was somewhere like in the middle, and I guess I'm skipping around. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I've never done this.
Yeah,
but
your first time at the house, you guys were all lined up, ready to go in.
Yeah, but I have to go back.
All right.
Yeah, we had a little group back in the day. Like it was like we had 4 main people. It was like me and some of my buddies, like who used to sit around the Jeep and eat the food and stuff like that and chill. And we had a little group, and everybody like had their place. Like we had the one person who was like in the front, always like, you know, kind of sort of like the shot caller, but it was all collective, but everybody had their purpose. Like we had the people who could like get into houses that didn't have the stairs. Like they were agile enough to like use teamwork to get up there. Me, like I was heavier back then, so I'm not trying to like go up to the second story if it doesn't have stairs, because like what if I gotta jump down? It's not gonna be cool. I'm a large person. So
you guys had a full-on like strategy going into this thing.
And in that group, I was the person who took the pictures, and like I did like the voice recordings and stuff like that, and you know, so that was my part in the group. But
okay, so it sounded like you guys were a full-on ghost hunting squad.
Yeah,
Nice.
We didn't have a name, and we always like used to talk about reviving it, but I don't think that it will.
The best ones are nameless.
Yeah, it was good because we went to a variety of places, and the witch's house was just like the one that I can remember the most. Like the most story is like still in my mind, and it was I need to go back again.
All right.
The first time we went, we was like a big squad, right? And it was us, the leaders, or the actual group people, and then just like a bunch of our friends. So we go, and we walking in the squad, and I was probably like in the middle somewhere. And so I was getting around to saying that, like when we started the group, like one of my rules was like, don't run, don't leave nobody behind, you know, like don't be running, man, because like you don't want to leave like who you would. If you came together, you need to leave together. Don't be like dipping off. That's not cool.
Yeah, no, that is messed up. I mean, if you go into a spooky situation, the worst thing you can do is leave somebody on their own.
Yeah, and like I would hate to like know that like I'm here like by myself, and like everybody's running away, and then whatever they was running from, you know, it's gonna get me. So like, why can't we just like deal with it together? And like most of the times, it's just like you might have got like a little spook, but you don't gotta run. But that's exactly what happened the first time we went all as a group to that place. We got like almost to the top. So the house, It's like in the woods, and then it was like a big gravel driveway to the right, like with not gravel. It was like these big sharp rocks that if you fell down on it, one would be sure to go up under your kneecap. Those big kind of big chunky rocks. So we get there, and the leader like of the group, like they apparently like get really spooked, and what they said they saw, I didn't see this, but I felt it, and I heard something. I don't know, like if because it was a bunch of commotion. Once the people saw it, like I was a little bit back. Once they saw it, they just turned and ran. And it's like, think about, I don't know, like just the front of your group about facing, and it's supposed to be like a movie. Everybody's supposed to do it, but like people was getting confused. They were just turning around and running into us and like tripping. I remember I had to pick one of my friends up off the ground. Like he got messed up by the rocks. And they said that they saw like these two Dobermans like up guarding the house with red eyes.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like we all got in the cars and left. Like,
yeah, soldiers in the heat of their first battle, they will completely break ranks and lose their tactical knowledge and just sort of scatter. Sounds like that's what happened when you guys came up against a real seemingly paranormal threat.
Yeah, people definitely got trampled, and like I had to help my friend. I think some other people. I don't know if I fell or not, but I feel like back then I was like pretty agile, so I don't think I did fall, but I just remember like everybody, like it was like 6 people up in front, and they all saw it. And I was seeing them come at me, and I just knew like it was time to go. When everybody turned around like that, at first I thought maybe it was somebody on the property with like a gun or something, but nah, they said they saw 2 Dobermans with the red eyes. But like I saw how they acted, and I do not think that they were just making it up just to like scare somebody, because why would we go out there just to do that,
Yeah, now I know you are the kind of guy who's into this kind of stuff and knows that there is a lot more than the eyes can see to this world. It's unknown things going on. But do you have anybody in that group who was just like, no, you guys made that up, there weren't dogs with red eyes like waiting for you?
Nope, I was probably the most skeptical one, and that's just to be honest, because like I always like try to hold my skeptical and like not just fall for anything. Like I feel like I know that the paranormal exists because like I have stories from not Virginia when I was a kid in South Carolina. Like I know that the supernatural exists. I know that it does. Like, and yeah, I always try to use science. Okay, so like if something happens in my house, because I live in a supposedly haunted place. Forgot to tell y'all that I live in the Selma mansion, and it's like when I moved in,
I've heard about it.
Yeah, I moved in my apartment, and like it seemed like I didn't have to like really buy anything for the kitchen. Like it was like nice stuff in there. Like I think the landlord when he first showed it to me, it was a Keurig in there, a nice one, and I was like, oh man, I just got a Keurig. I've been wanting one, and then when I came back to move in, it was gone, but I still had like a TV stand. It came with a love seat, like, and it was like all like nice, good stuff. And it's like the person left in a hurry, and I was like, dang.
Yeah, it's all nice, good stuff, but it's haunted, nice, good stuff.
And I was just like,
stay comfortable while you can, and just wave to the shadow man whenever you wake up at night.
Well, I actually moved there like I think October, like 2 years ago, and like my first like place in a while, like by myself. So. But it's cool, But I haven't I felt some weird feelings like walking up on the side of my house, but like in my apartment, like I'd never really like feel any type of way. Like, but I mean, I think it has been like sometimes when it felt like super spooky in there, and I felt like my cat is feeling weird, but that's like very rare.
Yeah. So for the most part, this is kind of your sanctuary, despite the rumors of what's lingering in that house.
Yeah, because I mean, something did happen there. It was like I think a Confederate soldier.
That is a very old house.
Yeah, they died there in in the room above, like where my apartment is. Like he bled out on that floor, and they said that you can't get the stain up. Because I went there one time for a Christmas party, and it's a beautiful house. But back in the day, it was like Selma. It was a place to be, and like now it's a whole neighborhood around this like mansion, and it's like. I think that it's pretty. It's pretty, but like sometimes it is mad spooky, like walking up on the left side of my driveway because there's no light, and then like I just feel like I can feel like something just like watching me, and I ain't trying to be dramatic, but it's like this one bush that be darker than the rest of the bushes, and I'm just like I feel something like it's just standing there, and then sometimes it don't. I feel like it don't be there, but
yeah, there's a lot of people familiar with that feeling. I've had it myself for a very years on end. I've had that feeling when I was alone in certain places in the house I grew up in. But I do want to get back to that story because a lot of people have also seen the same things that your friends saw when you guys went into this witch house, which is the dogs with red eyes. Some people might call them hellhounds or Well, there could be a lot of names for them depending on what culture you come from, but the basis is there's a dog with red eyes, and a lot of weird apparitions will show up with red eyes. A lot of these paranormal things, glowing red eyes, and no one really knows why that is, what the connection is. Me personally, I think that is a sign of something that is a demonic manifestation. So it could manifest as a dog maybe, or a shadow man, or a list of many other things, but the red eyes are always the consistent bit there.
I feel like you are right, like especially from what my brother told me about dreams that him and like my dad would have like back when we was young. But yeah, that is crazy because like we went there, but we were just on the driveway, mind you, like when we had to turn around, and so we didn't go back for like a while after that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, well,
it's not like, oh yeah, those dogs were so cute, let's go right back.
I was skeptical, but then I went again with like a smaller group. It was like, I actually had forgot about this one, but it was the same night that like the big thing happened. And
okay,
we went, and it was like dusk, so you couldn't still really see the house because it was like a bunch of foliage around it, and we were just like sitting out there. And at this time they had put a fence up. I remember it was a fence that they put up, and the boards, I mean, not the boards, but the metal in the fence, right? Like, how it was like a 4-post, like it was I don't know, like one going horizontal and one going vertical, and it like made a cross. And I remember in each point of the metal, it had a dent in a specific part of it. And I remember somebody said that is like used, I don't know what the truth is behind it because I never like really researched it, but they said that's used to like keep something in, like this gate was up. And I remember, so we were there, and it wasn't much incident because we never got out of the car. We never got out of the car.
You just kind of drove by?
No, we sat in there for a while. I remember being in the dude's car. We sat there, we chilled, and we talked, and then somebody got scared, and so we left. And we went back to the trailer park, and, business as usual. Well, my other friend, and his name is Dustin, he came in his little, he had a Thunderbird, a Ford Thunderbird. And he picked me, my girlfriend, and it was like 1 to 2 more people. Nope, I know. I remember. It was me, my girlfriend, and Scotty. Like, I don't ever know what happened to him, but he was in the passenger seat, and he was like a bigger person like me. And I was sitting in the back seat with my girl, and I think somebody was back there. I think it was her friend at the time was back there. So we were all in the back seat. We ride, we go there. And, the one guy and everybody is like feeling pretty nervous. I'm going to have to pause this part and just remember that I'm in the car, like, and we're going there. I remember one of the nights I went, I can't really remember what happened, but I went with a small amount of people and like just maybe like 2 or 3 other people. And we was out there, and we came back, and I remember I was talking to my girlfriend about it. And like the way that she looked at me, like her eyes, like they were brown, and she was looking at me, and I felt that my hair stand up. I felt like I felt, how the hair stands up and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I felt just feeling that I can describe, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like this feeling of like something's about to happen. Like something's about to happen.
Yeah, you get this weird feeling on the back of your neck that's kind of like the willies.
Yeah, like that door's about to open over there, or like something's about to slam off the wall, But I remember she was looking at me, and it made me feel scared. I ain't even gonna lie. And the first thing that I did, I remember it was a Bible on top of the TV. I picked up the Bible, and I just like opened it and started reading. And then that feeling went away. That feeling like started to go away, and like she returned to normal. But she was just like looking at me with these eyes that I felt like she was gonna like hurt me or something, like just out of nowhere, like after we came back. And my dumb behind still went back. Still went back. Because I think, oh man, this is bull crap. You're gonna have to show me. You're gonna have to show me before I believe that this is really gonna happen.
Yeah.
Or it's gonna be something, I wanna know. Like that's the thing. I don't know if you ever saw this movie. I don't know if it was episode 50 or Grave Encounters, but it was a dude, and he was dying, and he was like, he needed oxygen and stuff like that. I think he had like lung cancer, and it was really bad, so he could like barely talk above a whisper and burst at a time. And he was telling them that he would give them 50,000 or 50 million if they could prove that there was an afterlife, because if there is, then he knows where he's going, because apparently he did bad things. So anyway, So that's I wanted to know, even though I already knew. I guess I guess
you wanted some sort of visual confirmation of some sort.
I want to see. And so I guess this night when we went, it was time for me to see, because something happened that I never will ever be able to explain in my life. And I used to ask them for years, these people, I asked them, like, was y'all just pranking us? Was this? Nah, it wasn't a prank. I remember this. We were in the car. This is, not everybody has cell phones. I didn't have a cell phone, I don't think, and we were going there, and Scotty, he was, being scared. The people in the car being scared. Dustin, he was always scared. He was super scared. You could never ask him to go back, because he would say the same thing that he would say before. I can't really say it, but it's a variation of, I'm not going back. He will not. That's the one person I was telling you. You can give him cash money. He will not go back to that place.
He's a smart man.
After that night. So we get there, and then and I'm going to tell you, I feel like we wasn't even there for 5 minutes before Scotty was like, all right, we need to get out of here. And so we driving back. We got off Bald Rock Road. We back on that little road, whatever it is in Verona, that I don't know if it's called Berry Farm Road, but one of those roads to get back to the trailer park. And Scotty is like just talking, like very strangely. Just very strangely. It's just like, I remember we ride. I'm like, man, like, what's up with you? Like, he's telling us how, like, he was feeling. He was like, man, I'm not feeling right. And I'm just like, oh, man, what's going on? Like, I'm like kind of joking around. What's going on? Yeah. Did you see something? Yeah, I seen her. She showed me what she looked like. And I was just like, what? Like, is you, like, what you on? Like, you okay? Why you messing with us, man? Like, basically, it's like, why you messing with us? Like, you ain't, like, this is not real. And so I remember he kept talking about it and like how she looked and stuff. He said she got long red hair, and I'm just like, are y'all gonna get married now? And then everybody started laughing, because I guess everybody was nervous.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, we had a nervous laughter.
She sounds hot to me.
I'm just like, dang, does she look good? And he's just like, he's like, Q, you shouldn't have said that. She didn't like that. Now she's very angry. And I remember he was acting weird, and I was just like, okay, Scotty. He was just acting weird. So we driving like a little bit farther down the road, and he's acting strange, like looking at Dustin. And he looked over at Dustin, and I'll never forget this. I'm just remembering this now, but it's coming clear. He said, Dustin, I love you, brother. Like, and I remember when he said that, like chills went down my spine, and I was like, man, what's going on? He was just like looking at Dustin. I remember he was looking at me how my girlfriend was looking at me that night. He was looking at Dustin the way she was looking at me. His eyes was like glistening, like he was crying, but like no tears was coming down his face.
Yeah.
It was like all just like eyes just like wet. And I love you, brother. And I'm just like, oh, this don't sound good. At this time, after he said that, not even like 10 seconds later, our mutual friend, Matt, he calls, and he lives in Verona. Are you familiar with Verona?
A bit, yeah.
Well, if you like turn by the Burger King, you go up like to the left, you go in like a little trailer park, and I guess it's called Troy Hill.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
We used to play so much games of football in that field, and I called it Troy Hill Field, but I don't think that's what it was called. But anyway, Matt, he calls, and he's like, where you at? And we tell him that we just came from the witch's house and we riding on the road. And he's like, yeah, I know, but what's going on? What's wrong with Scotty? And we're like, how do you know what's going on? We didn't even tell you we was coming here. He described to Dustin, like on speaker, where everybody was sitting in the car. Whoa. This is what made me think that it was like a prank, and they all set this up on us, right? But Matt didn't even know that we was going there, like he didn't know. So I don't know. I've confirmed and I'm satisfied, because I'm the type of person that I can remember something the way that you told it to me. So like sometimes, like back in the day when I didn't like really trust people a lot, I would ask him sometime down the road that story, and if it changed, then I was like, I knew, But for sure, I just knew that the way everybody acted, this wasn't no setup. It was not a setup.
And this was, to clarify for me, this was the instance where you guys didn't even get out of the car. You just sat there.
This was the second time that we went later that night. Yeah, we went later that night with a different person. We went with Dustin. The other time we was with this random guy, like who we knew, but I can't like really remember him. But we went, and I remember he had like a nice little speaker set up in his car. You know? And So he was seeing, presumably he was seeing a vision of this witch, and he said, she's showing me what she looks like. Yeah. And that's when I asked, like, are you gonna marry her? And that's when like everything got flipped upside down. And then Matt called. He described what we was wearing, where we all was sitting in the car, and this is what made me like believe stuff about Matt, because he was talking and was telling them what was going on, and I just remember him telling them, "Hey, just meet me in the field." And so we went into the same field that we played football in, under this big tree. I don't know if it's still there or not, like a big oak tree. And he was saying, Scotty, he wouldn't even like talking at this time. And we got him to the tree, and I remember Matt, he started talking to him. He like put his hands on his chest and he started talking to him in this language that I never heard before.
Oh no.
I don't know what kind of language it was, but he just like, I never seen nobody do it before, but it was like talking in tongues, but I don't know.
How was he acting when he was doing that? That's incredibly strange.
He was just standing right there. My other friend had his back against the tree, and he had his arms outstretched, like putting his hands on his chest, and he was just talking to him like in this language, like, and he said that it was like Indian language or something, like Native American language.
Okay, so he seemed very conscious that he was speaking in this weird language.
Yeah, like it wasn't like just some gibberish, like it was actually something that meant something, but I just didn't understand what it was. Yeah, it was structured, like he was saying something, and as he was saying this stuff, like started to come back. And I remember for a long time, Scotty always had not trouble, but he always told us that he could, like in certain times, he could always see his granddad, and like apparently his granddad was like part Indian, like Native American, and he could see him, like his granddad was dead. And I remember one time we was at Scotty's house, and it was like, my granddad's here, because we was like, it was late night and we was out in the pool, and we got out and was on the porch, and it's like, my granddaddy's here, and all you smelled was like pipe tobacco.
Oh,
the same
wow.
Yeah, the same stuff that he was smoking. He would like look into the distance. We were standing in the woods one time, and like we saw these like red things far off, and he was like, that's my granddaddy standing right there. So anyway, at this time, Scotty started to come back. When Matt was talking to him, he started to come back, and he's just like, I see my granddad like standing in the field at the edge. He just standing right there. And
that's something you'll hear a lot, especially when it comes to like the haunted houses of, people who lived in recent distant past, say like from early 1900s and before, a time where smoking was a very common thing. Whenever there is, say, a father figure or man haunting a house, there's oftentimes this reminiscent smoke smell that will just come in from nowhere from time to time. I know if you like watch the Travel Channel and see a lot of those ghost shows or whatever, people will say that time and time again. And to me, that's kind of a confirmation. That's a very common, trope that comes about through some sort of, spiritual visitation or a haunting or something.
Yeah.
That pipe tobacco or cigar tobacco smell.
And like also like just like spirit smells. Like as far as like, like the paranormal, like the spirit world, I feel like, I don't know, like if I can hear, I feel like I can't see, but also like my vision sucks. So I feel like if I saw something, I probably would just like think it was like a real person or something, unless like it wasn't supposed to be there. I can like feel, but I just don't like feel, most of it like in my apartment and stuff like that.
Right.
And like sometimes like when I would go out, like on some of our outings, like I wouldn't feel, but this time like it was something that was like when she was looking at me, like I felt that feeling, like, and he just wasn't right. He wasn't right. He was standing up on that tree. He came back and he was like, I see my granddad, and then he was cool, but like he would never go to that place again. And like, I always asked them, I was like, I know, but then I also know that I'm just trying to like make them tell me what I want to believe, but I know like as being there that it was like true. And like if Matt would not have done that, then Scotty was going to run us off the road. That's what he said. He was like, he was going to take the wheel and crash us off the road.
Ooh.
So
it sounds like a really nice thing to do if somebody is not playing along with you.
Yeah, I have encountered like some crazy stuff, but that, like getting jerked off the road, like somebody asked me that one time and I didn't know, but it was like one of my friends, and like we was real cool, and like I hope the best for them and stuff like that. But I just remember I didn't know that they like were kind of like had mental illness, until because like one night he just came and picked me up like normal, and we road to Roanoke, like on a whim. I feel like that night, the reason why I did it, because I wanted adventure. I had did some acid, not even gonna lie. And like, I wanted to get out the house. Like that, what it was, the house that I was living in, as a matter of fact, that time I had did some acid. I was fairly new to it. And it was, I don't know, the house like felt like it was crushing in on me. Like the atmospheric pressure just felt great. And so I guess my logic was, hey man, you got to get out of here. So my friend picked me up. Next thing I know, we on the interstate, and we just go on the road. Like just out of nowhere, he driving like 93 miles an hour. His tire felt like it was about to fall off the car, and like he handling them curves with ease. And I'm just like,
oh man, that would make my nerves shoot up.
Yeah, I was scared, but I was on acid, and it was fun. It was really fun. You know, I had my drink, and I think I was smoking cigarettes at the time. I had my cigarettes, and it was fun. We went to Roanoke and like walked around, and I think it was like a bad part of the city. We were just like walking around downtown. This woman like popped around the corner, and she's like, "Give me $1."
Oh, that is wild. So
we had to give her $1, but you know.
Well, you didn't have to, but who knows what would have happened if you didn't.
But I just remember also on the separate time he came and picked me up, and we was driving on the road to Camorra. He just like looked at me. It was oncoming traffic. It was on 340 right almost to Country Estates. And he was just like, hey, Q, you want to get ghosted? Because he was telling me this story, man, like this whole time. And this is when I found out that something was that I didn't know, like he, you know, what was going on. And he was just like, this girl, it was a story around here in Stanton. Like she had got killed. And he was like, she was talking to him, and they was going to form some kind of planet called, I don't even want to say what the planet was called, but it was like very strange. Now, like after he told me that, he was like, you want to get ghosted, and then you can come and be on this planet with us. And like me and Ghosted, he was going to like drive us into oncoming traffic.
Oh man, that sounds like some weird Heaven's Gate cult stuff.
It was
it's like, hey, we're all gonna off ourselves so we can aboard the UFO that's flying by at this time. That sounds like the exact same kind of thing. Did he really believe that he had some kind of planet he was going to go to as soon as he died?
Yeah, she was talking to him from beyond.
Oh,
and she wanted him to join her. I just remember like that story was kind of like involving the girl. I remember reading the newspaper, reading the article about it, and then I was working a lot then. I think I was working 2 jobs, and like I was getting minimal sleep. But when I would sleep, I would always have like these vivid, like almost like lucid dreams. Like my dreams are always very, very, very strange. And like for some reason, like this girl was in my dream, right? But she wasn't there. It was just like the story of what happened. It's like when I read that story, I felt somehow like connected, like, and I dreamed about it. And that usually doesn't happen. I don't usually like pull a lot of stuff that I see into like my dreams. Like it's always something totally random, or like I'll go back to like a dream that I had when I was like 13, and it's just like a continuation. And I know, you know, one of the biggest things about dreams for me is like dreaming and knowing that I'm dreaming. I know that I'm asleep and I'm in like this city. I don't know where I'm at. And like, I'm talking to these people and I'm like, hi, you know, I'm Q and I'm asleep in Stanton, Virginia. But the other people never tell me where they're from.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not very often in your dreams that you tell people that you're sleeping and where you are at the exact moment. So maybe they just didn't want to reveal that information to you. You got a loose tongue. So is this a place you would go often?
Well, I go various places. Like a lot of times, like I'll have like dreams about like these huge houses, like with like you can like, I don't know, like go secret places, but then like the house is just huge. And like as I got older, the house got like bigger and it's like more to it. And you know, sometimes I'm like young and sometimes I am me, but like most of the time it's like places that I've been in my dreams before. You know.
So you've got a couple of haunts that you go to. Mind the pun.
Yeah, I done had some of those dreams as well, but those are like, I don't know, hard, like scary dreams don't really like scare me. Like if it's like painful dreams, like you know about like somebody you know and like something happens to them or something like that, yeah. But like some of the dreams that I have, it'd be like crazy, and I feel like sometimes that can be fueled from like, you know, watching something about zombies or something, because we're having dreams where like you wake up and it's like, I don't know. I've always been intrigued with like deep underground like bases and stuff like that, like places that like is up under your feet, miles and miles below the earth, and it's like an entire like city down there that's like functioning that you know nothing about.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. I mean, that kind of stuff is very fun to speculate about.
Yes.
The inner earth theories and deep underground military bunkers and stuff like that. cool stuff to read up on and look into, but just fun to think about as well. But yeah, it sounds like your dreams are a lot more coherent than mine. I just dream about random nonsense gobbledygook half the time.
No, man. Like sometimes there'd be a whole storyline, and like when I was younger, I could like remember them more. But my dreams usually they would stay with me through the day. Like now, I can feel like little tinges of them, but they go away quicker. But also, I haven't really like been dreaming like that. But like now, like it's coming back stronger, and I don't know what has like changed to make my dreams come back.
Have you ever thought about keeping a dream journal?
I thought about it, but I'm gonna tell you one thing, man. I am horrible about writing stuff down. Like I bought all these notebooks, and I'm like, I'm gonna start making lists because I know it's gonna help me, and I never do it. So
yeah, so dream journals really do tend to help. Apparently, I've never tried it myself, but they apparently tend to help with dream recollection, and apparently that makes your lucid dreaming even stronger. But I gotta say, man, everyone who's listening right now, I bet, is asking, what about the witch house? And what about the witch house? I know there was more to tell in that story, and we did get a little sidetracked, but I want to bring it back, reel it back in just a little bit, because I know that there's more going on there than what we've heard so far.
Yeah, so it is. Like I've been there a few times, and I believe that like not a lot of, I can ask anybody about it to this day, and like not much people, like only us knew about it. So I don't know like if it was just like a generation thing and like the trickle down stopped like with us because like we really stopped going, but I haven't been able to like find anybody, but I also haven't like really dug into it, like the folklore, because it just wasn't like a lot of people to talk to, I guess. So just some other times that we went there, it was still creepy, but I remember one of the things, I don't know why I never mentioned this, but in the yard, like it was really a coffin. I remember it was yellow. It was a yellow coffin, yellow metal coffin, and it was like kind of sort of like half buried under like bushes and stuff. And like you wouldn't see it, walking up the driveway. You had to actually be in the yard that was to the left of the driveway. Still didn't know what the house was colored like, but I know it was a dark color, so maybe like gray or maybe like blue that looked like dark or something. But it was a pretty like medium-sized place, and I remember two of my friends like went in there and they just came running out, and they were saying they saw like a hatchet in there, but other than that it looked like, I guess, pretty ordinary, just like abandoned to them. Okay. So I never really found out the full like backstory about that place. I don't know how they knew, but I do know that it was things going on there. Like in that biggest time with Scotty definitely led me to believe that it really, really was something going there, and I never really.
Is it still standing, man? Because we gotta go there and figure out what is going on with that house. And I don't mean the paranormal stuff. Just kind of dig and see what we can find.
Yeah.
Did you ever open the coffin?
Well, I think it was like half open anyway, and
okay.
I wasn't touching it. I wasn't, because I was like, man, I don't want no bad juju. So I really be trying not to, mess with it too much. Like if I go somewhere or if I went somewhere with the team, I would just like take pictures and try not to like take anything with me, because some of the places that we went, like other people have had like experiences there, and I'm lucky that I just got like room full of orbs and like some cool pictures that I can't get back.
Yeah. So do we have any more on the witch house?
Well, just that I know that it's real. The experiences that I had was real, and we could go and try to find it. I'm pretty sure, because I remember.
I'll take you up on that.
Yeah, one of the things we used to do was we used to stop at the church like right around the corner and pray before we went, and then like pray after we went, to like make sure we didn't like take nothing home with us.
Clear the energy.
Yeah, the time like when I went without praying, that's when like I went home later that night, and like my girl, she was looking at me like very strangely, very strangely.
No, if you go someplace like that and have something attached to you, something dark or negative, you want to make sure you get rid of that before you go home.
Yeah, and I did not do that time. So I think that could be why. But also that time when it happened to Scotty, we didn't do it either. Like I guess we did it when we was all together, like as a group, like me and a couple other dudes that it was. Like we always did that. Like it was our thing. Like we go there and we pray, and then we come back and we pray,
Right. No, that you guys really did have things, I think, done in a very good manner, even though you might have messed up once the dogs decided to start barking. But you guys really did seem to have things sort of figured out as to what you're doing, what you're messing with, how you should handle it, that kind of stuff. I've never heard of other people really guarding themselves in such a way and preparing themselves in such a way for something like this. Usually it's, we're a couple of teenagers, we're going to go do this spooky thing, tee-hee-hee-hee. But no, you guys kind of were handling it really professionally and very spiritually aware about it, it looks like.
Yeah, we tried to be, because like we knew, man, like what we was messing around with like had the potential to like really like mess you up. Like as to like if Matt didn't get to Scotty, like I feel like he probably would have like pulled us off the road, like and I don't know what would have happened, but I don't think anything good could have came out of him doing that. We probably would have got hurt or like could have even died, But those are the experiences from the witch's house.
Well, if I've got this right from the stories you've told us, the story with the dogs is the only time you've ever really been in, or have you actually gone in and walked around it?
I did not go in because I think you had to like get in a window.
Go through the window.
Yeah, and I wasn't trying to do all that because I'm just like, if we got to break fast, then I don't want to get stuck, because like I'm not like I was big like I am now, just like a large, like 6'5" person, kind of heavy, and I'm not trying to like fall through a floor. Like we don't got flashlights.
I feel you on that.
Yeah, so like the agile ones, like from the group, they went inside, and that was the same time like I saw the coffin in the yard. And
so I'm going to tell you, man, real quick, because I've been out to a house in or around Verona that fairly closely matches what you're talking about. And the story that I got when we went out there was that there was a woman who had killed, it's been a while, but I think it was either her husband or her children. I'm pretty sure it was her children in the bathtub, and ended up being hanged inside of the shed in the backyard, and the shed was burned down by the local neighbors. And the driveway was like that really crazy gravel like you're talking about. But I don't remember there being anything like it, coffin in the yard. It wasn't a very big house either, but you did have to go through the window, and it brought you right to the basement where the bathtub was. And I have a feeling that might have just been a story created around it, but I don't know. No,
like what if we're talking about the same thing though?
There was definitely no upside down tree in the house I went to, and it was a little creepy, but I don't think I didn't feel any kind of like heaviness in the air or like some sort of spiritual presence or anything like that. And definitely nothing happened when we were there. So maybe someplace different, maybe the same place. Who knows? I bet if we went out there and we found it, we'd know.
That's interesting. So I might definitely have to take you up on that.
Yeah.
And that's for sure.
Oh yeah, we'll get together. We'll go on a little drive out into the darkness.
Man, like you're making me like think about like the other places that I've been like around here. Like it's bringing back memories, because I totally forgot about this one place that I went. I don't know if you like want to talk about it, but it's like this is with the team, yeah. And it was this one place in Waynesboro, and we've been there. I think it was like one time, and I remember this house. It was like on White Ridge Road, and like I always associated that. I was like, oh, everything's connected. This is white. This means White Ridge Road. And I just remember like going to that house, and it was a story about the guy like did something to his family or something like that. And I just remember like going up into the attic, like the steps were it was like if you ever saw a stairwell, but they like really tiny steps, like narrow, and they like almost like a ladder. So I guess that's essentially what it was, but you could walk up at like, steps into the attic.
I don't think that's too code anymore, but they used to build steps like that.
Yeah. And I just remember going like into the house, like on the post of the porch and the door, it had like some upside down horseshoes. And like, I don't think like back then I really like had the internet at my disposal like that. So I was like, is that a sign? Like from the basic stuff that I know, like about symbols and stuff, I was like, is this a sign? Is this something like for good luck, or is this something meaning something else? But that place, when we left, we was coming back, and I remember looking at the window, and it was like somebody had drew something on like the foggy window, but I was sitting by the window and I didn't draw anything. And I just remember like the feeling of despair, like while we were riding, like about these kids, because I think the story was, I can't remember the exact story, but I remember being there, and I remember it was something about some children with the guy, and like I just remember seeing those little things on the window, but it was, I don't know, it was just like streaks, like somebody put their hand on the window and like dragged it down the window. And like I remember I couldn't do it from the inside of the car.
Oh, that was on the car.
Yeah, it was like when we was riding in the car back from that place. Like that's the most memorable thing. We only been there one time.
Yeah,
But
that's a bit odd.
there was this other place that we went, and I remember I can't remember where it was at, but I know we went out there. I still can't remember the direction, but it was like out, and we called it the field. And I think what it was, I think that it was an old plantation, and I remember them saying that like in the back, it was like all these little houses, and they had like shackles on the walls and stuff like that.
Jeez.
Yeah, and this house was the one it was pretty badly like damaged, the house, like it was old, and like so it didn't have a floor. And so I remember like I was just doing my job. I was being the picture taker. I was getting what I could, like when I could, and like using the recorder. And I remember the agile ones, they went up to the second floor, and it didn't have stairs, so they had to like find a way to get up there. And they took this picture, and it was a angel, and it looked like it was drawn in blood. It was an angel up there, and it had like the wings clipped. Like I remember that picture, and they had it on their cell phone. They had a cell phone at the time with a crappy like 2-megapixel camera. But
so you're not talking about a painting. You're talking about a picture they took of
somebody like
room.
Drew it on the wall in the room, like, and it had the wings clipped, and it was an angel. Yeah,
I don't like that image at all.
And I'd never forget, this place used to make me feel spooky. Like I think we've been there, like we was gonna go there again, but like something happened, and the people across the street, albeit it was like they had really big yards and land, it was a bunch of people with motorcycles and ATVs, and we felt like if we went there, they was gonna, I don't know,
run you off or something.
Yeah. So and it was across the street, and I was just like, yeah. So we had to leave, but the same time that they got that picture up, the angel with his wings clipped, I got this picture downstairs with the camera, and I remember like to this day, like it exactly was like, and nobody was smoking at the time, but it was like foggy, like walking up on the house, it was like doomy kind of sort of, because the fog would be rising from the ground, and like we get to the house, like it was so like foggy. I took a picture, and it was like a skeleton, but I saw it was like the Grim Reaper, like with the sickle and everything, and like it was a bloody eye. Like I never forget that picture, and I took it, and I got the picture developed or printed out, and I let one of my coworkers who went with us have it. And like to this day, he said that he never had it, but I know that I gave it to him, and I remember he put it in his car, and he said that he doesn't have it anymore. But
he just doesn't want to admit that he lost it.
I think that's what it was, but that was like one of the gnarliest pictures I ever got. Yeah, it was that was one of the experiences. And I mean, I got like other ones. The most famous place was, of course, Desjardins. Like I've been in Desjardins.
Yeah, people even not in Virginia know of Desjardins. It's a pretty famous location nowadays.
And it's just like, I haven't been in years, but when I went, it was still like in decent shape. I think that somebody was living there, because like walking in, the way we could get in, which I'm pretty sure they fixed that all these years later, it was like through, I think, what would have been like an entry point for like loading or something, or the kitchen maybe, but it wasn't the kitchen, because you can get in, and then no, it was like a back point, and then we went to the kitchen or the cafeteria, and like I remember the walk-in was like there, and we opened it, and I never forget, it was like medicine bottles and like a sleeping bag, and then like somebody was living in there in that cooler. And I remember like in Desjardins, like getting the pictures. I took a picture in the cafeteria, and it was like orbs, and like most people would probably say that it was dust. It could have been dust, but I took other pictures around that same place with nothing. That's why I remember, like I was thinking all these years later, was it just dust? No, because I remember I had clear pictures in that same place. And
I'm sure that place is dusty as all get out. But
yeah, it has asbestos too.
I'm sure. Yeah. So for anyone listening who doesn't know about it, Desjardins Asylum is just an old place that got shut down, I think, in the 1940s, or it got converted into something else in the 40s. But it was an old eugenics asylum. It's absolutely massive, the size of a mansion. And it's just got a very, very troubled history, I guess you could say. If you want to know any more, then you can go ahead and look it up. It's located in Stanton, Virginia.
Yeah, but that place, it wasn't so scary. Like to me, like it was like very creepy because of the stuff that I would see on the walls. I remember in one of the rooms, like somebody had wrote, when I heard her voice in my head, that's when I knew that she was dead.
Oh.
And I just remember in another one of the rooms, it said, "There's no demons here." Like it was a pretty like creepy experience for me. The creepiest part for me was like, it's two buildings, and then on the right, if you look, it's windows at the top. and that's the nurture station. Well, I remember, like, it's all wide open. You walking in these wide open hallways. The rooms are decent sized, but as soon as you enter that door into the nurture station, it's like everything just like starts to suffocate you because it just crushes in. And you walking down this like tiny hallway, like I can touch the walls with both of my arms outstretched, and it was just like tight. And I remember looking on the ground, you could see a trail from where we were at in the door all the way back to this one room, like in a horror movie. Yeah, like it was just like oppressive feeling in the nursing station.
Yeah, the scariest thing to me about that place is the homeless population that lives in or around it. I know for a fact there are people just camping out in the woods out there now, and they ramped up security when it got really popular to break in, but I don't think that security is really that bad anymore. You could probably break into it now fairly easily.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day you could. You just like parked your car and walked from like Sheets. But the place that I've always been itching to go is Western State, like the old Western State.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought they knocked it down, but I heard it was super secure. But somebody that I know like went in there and like got pictures and everything, and I want to go there.
Yeah, it looks really scary now. I mean, it used to be a scary place to go into just because of all the mentally insane that were there, and now it's probably even way scarier. I've seen it from a distance pretty recently, and it's in the dark, it's looks like a absolute hive for ghosts.
But you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like the old Western State, and
Yeah,
like 'cause
exactly.
people get it confused. They be like, "Oh, it's the prison." No, that's not it. They turned the old prison or the old jail into condos. But
Well, Western State just moved to a new facility a couple years back.
yeah, and so and that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
That's where I want to go. We got to figure out how to do it.
I'm sure it wouldn't be hard. I know exactly where you could park and get in. Yeah, that's one of those things where I just do not want to get caught doing that.
Yeah, me either. Definitely not. But the person that I knew, they went in the daytime.
So for the record, if anybody's listening to this, we are not going to Western State.
That's true. I can't run anymore because like I hurt my knee, But
I'm getting fat and schlubby, so I can't really outrun anybody. So I'm not taking my chances. I'm not going there.
Me either.
Wink, wink. Yeah, man, it looks like we're getting pretty close to the hour mark. But if there's anything else you want to share, we still have a couple minutes. We can run through some stuff. And I was curious. You said your childhood stories were in North Carolina, right? You grew up
South Carolina.
And I know it didn't happen in Virginia, but this is part of the story of you. And you said this was kind of your awakening into the fact that there is sort of a spiritual side to life. And if you want to give us a quick rundown of some of the things that sort of woke you up to that, I'm all ears.
Well, yeah. So, my younger life living in South Carolina, that's where I grew up, born in Tennessee. But I spent the majority of my young life in South Carolina. And we used to live in it was this strip apartment. And I guess they were all shotguns. And it was like apartment 1 through like apartment 10. So 10 units. And I remember the story behind that place was that some doctor used to own it, and he used to do horrible stuff, like kill people, after doing experiments and put them in the ground back there.
You're mad doctor.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just one of the stories that I heard, but I do know that the stuff that happened there was real. So we lived in apartment 1. Our grandma lived in apartment 2, so she lived next to us, and there were shotguns. You could walk in the front door, and it wasn't I guess a true shotgun. You could walk straight through though, and then go out of the back door, but the back door might have been off a little bit. But you could still essentially walk straight through, and then the rooms were on the left or the right side, depending on what apartment you was in. And you would have a door to go in the first room, then a door to go in the second room farther down. But the bathroom was shared between the 2 rooms in the back. And so me and my brothers, we had the back left room, and there were 2 bedrooms, by the way. And my dad, he had the front room. So if we needed him, we could go from our room through the bathroom directly into his room through the other door. And living at that house was the majority of the stuff that made me learn that the paranormal was real and evil is real, because we used to back in the day, me and our brothers, we all used to sleep in the same bed, and so we all used to sleep in the same bed, and something would always it wouldn't mess with me. I saw what happened and stuff, but it wouldn't mess with me. I'm trying to sum this up. So it would be stuff that would happen. He would have these dreams. My dad would have the same dreams about this lady's hand coming up out the ground and grabbing my brother. My brother would have the dream that he was getting grabbed, and my dad would have the dream that my brother was getting grabbed from him.
Oh, so kind of like a shared dream.
Yeah, and my brother, he drew the hand, and it's this crazy looking hand with these red nails that come out of the ground and grab him. Well, I remember it was so bad, like stuff happening every night. My aunt watched us one night and she would look in the room and she was like, yeah, I see spooks in there. Like we didn't find this out till we was older. And down south, like spooks is like ghosts.
Yeah.
That's what got me into like folklore and stuff like that, these experiences, because we would open our Bible whenever something was going on. We'll open the Bible, I think it was the 93rd or the 94th Psalm, like where it tells you like about the pestilence in the night, that part. And like stuff would be okay. But then one night we woke up and the Bible was closed. And so my dad, before he went to work one night, because he worked overnight, he sprinkled like an entire box of salt on the ground. And we was living in like these cheap places, so they had concrete floors, okay? So it could be easily swept up. It wasn't carpet. But the folklore behind that is like, if something's bothering you in the night, from the other side, you put the salt down. They have to count every grain of salt before they can touch you or harm you. And he sprinkled a box of salt on the ground. He went to work. My aunt watched us. She didn't come in our room at night because like if she turned on the light, we would have saw it. We woke up and he put it everywhere, up under the bed. He put it everywhere, every corner of the room.
Just to be sure.
Yes, he woke up and there was not a grain of salt on the floor except for this big pile of salt. So basically no salt under the bed. Somebody would have had to meticulously sweep. Like while we were sleeping, woke up, the salt was in the pile, Bible closed. And I think that what happened was they almost got to us. It was some other stuff in that apartment and more
that
stuff.
Spook can count quickly.
Yeah, man.
Freaking
like
genius, savant level spook.
This stuff happened. Like, and I don't know what would have happened if they would have got before the sunrise. What if they would have got to my brother? Because I think that's who they were after.
Maybe they just counted it just to mess with you.
I don't think I would have.
Because I personally believe that these things come in and do this kind of stuff just to put you in that state of fear. I think they feed off of that fear, and that's what gives them pleasure. And if counting or piling up grains of salt is enough to do that, then maybe take the path of least resistance and just do that.
Because that's the thing about it too. Like I think that's one of the principles in possession. Like as my understanding, like you have to like break down who you try. You got to wear them down. Like usually even when you see it in the movies, like it's always like gradual things, and all of a sudden, boom! It's the S when the S hits the fan. When that moment happens, it's like.
Yeah, you got to hit them with it when they're at their lowest point.
You got to break them down, and it's not something like, "Oh, I'm just gonna come and I'm gonna take you over because that's what I want." No, it's like you got to break down and like you got to make the person really scared and like really broke down, and then it's like easily inhabitable. Yeah, so I think that's what was happening. Yeah,
those dreams and that pile of salt are part of that process of making somebody scared and feel like they're losing their wits, feel like they're losing their grasp on reality, and that's when you get them.
It was definitely some like more times living in that place that like solidified my belief in the supernatural, the paranormal, like that it is like the side, and like sometimes they can be on our side,
yeah,
like with us, among us, maybe trying to, take over.
Yeah, I've been wondering that sometimes, just like the people that you see on a day-to-day basis that you don't know. Maybe nobody knows them because they're, not exactly what they seem. And I know that sounds really paranoid delusional, and don't make any mistakes about it. I don't actually treat every person I encounter as if they are some sort of otherworldly entity trying to take over the world. But, it's just a thought in the back of the head. What if?
Yeah, for sure.
What if there is somebody that you see, walks into your store, buys a pack of gum, walks out, who's not actually a person, but just doing, checking up on you for one reason or another?
Yeah, I don't see how like anything good could have came out of it. And like, what I'm thinking about is like, I know we talked about some stuff earlier, but I'm talking about like, like demons.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what wanted my brother, but it really wanted him. But I remember it was times like in my grandma's apartment where I would experience it. But fortunately, and I don't know how, fortunately, I would fall asleep like before whatever it was, like in the closet would come out. Like it was.
Well, man, if they wanted you to see him, they'd probably wake you up. That seems to be the mode of operation is, hey, I'm in your room now. Go ahead, wake up. I'll shake your bed a little bit, give you a fright, make sure you see me. So, maybe they really don't want to mess with you for whatever reason. Maybe you've got some sort of a strong spirit that's like, don't even bother with Q. He's not worth the time.
There's one last thing that I will tell you about. You made me think about this. Like when we had the group, of course we did one of the ultimate dumbness, and we played with a Ouija board.
Yeah.
So we went to the house, we played with the Ouija board, and I remember when it was my turn, Like it wouldn't work. It wouldn't do nothing. But I remember one of the guys, he was crying because he asked his grandfather's middle name and it spelled it out. At the same time, like I think we were writing down what was going on, but I had my tape recorder and I was just recording randomly. After that night, that tape recorder never worked again. Like the tape like got all messed up and the motor, like it started oozing like black stuff from the things that turned the tape. Like, and that tape recorder never worked again. I never heard what was on that tape. So I guess maybe I wasn't supposed to. I think maybe I'm not supposed to see this.
Maybe you should be glad you didn't hear what's on it.
Because if I don't want to like.
I got to say though, man, we are running up against the clock real quick. It has been awesome talking to you tonight. We could go on and on. We were talking for a good 30 minutes before we even started recording about some of the similar kind of stuff. But real quick, before we go and end the recording, do you have any sort of thing you want to plug? Any kind of business or project that you're working on that you want to let everybody know about?
I am, I make music. I don't know why I didn't mention that, but I make music, and my name is Po Boy Q. On YouTube, Po_BOI_Q.
And that is POEBOI.
Yes.
Letter Q.
I'm so horrible at this, y'all, but I hope that we can do this again. But I make music, and I'm trying to do a journey to get where I want to go. And if you want to follow me, you can. My Facebook is also Real Recognize Real or Quentin Cummings, and
Yeah, Q writes awesome music too. We've worked together a little bit here in the studio on some songs.
Hopefully we could do this again.
I want to shout him out because this guy's got real talent. He's a great writer. He's a good singer, and he's got awesome flow. So check out Po Boy Q on YouTube. Thank you so much, everybody, and good night. So that was my interview with Q. I just really want to thank him one more time for coming on and saving my butt for having a show put out today. I know it's going to be a day late, and I'm sorry everybody about that. But you gotta do what you can, and sometimes it's not always going to be on time. Can't always make the deadline. And I know there were also a couple of audio issues during that interview, some plosives, and there was somebody. We had a busy house that day. There was somebody cooking, and you can kind of hear that. And also my mic cord was cutting out there at the later end of the interview. So I've taken some notes and I'm going to make some improvements. Hopefully the next one will sound a lot cleaner. Those stories are absolutely frightening. The demon dogs especially, I think, was a highlight of all that. We got to keep it short now because we're definitely way over time. Q has got some great music, and to play us out, we're going to do one of his songs here. The song is called Can't, in parentheses, Leave You Alone by Po Boy Q.
I get a whiff of your smell, baby. You got me living in hell, yeah. Yeah, it's the taste of the smell, baby. You got me miserable as well, yeah. You're with the thing that you do, yo, but I just can't leave you alone, yeah. You got me climbing mountains, I'm on these family outings. I'm shouting about you, but in public I can't share your fountain. Yeah, but you make me feel astounded when you let me with the action. I kiss your lips and grab your hips and passion. Grip me in designer fashion, $30,000 for a whole year's rent. Then the whole tear's in. When you go with him, I wanna go with fish, but to fill my love with water is a cold ass wish. Don't know how you keep me warm when you a cold ass bitch. Guess it's cause you put your name on the whole ass shit. Can't leave me alone, but we hold asses, and he got the recipe like it's gold classic. I'm in the pickle, I throw my head in the jar for a whole plastic, but that whole half bitch, till I can't leave you alone. I die like old habits. You got me doing backflips on the old mattress, yeah. I get a whiff of your smell, baby. You got me living in hell, yeah. Yeah, it's the taste of the smell, baby. You got me miserable as well, yeah. Baby, you're with the things that you do, yeah. Yeah, but I just can't leave you alone, yeah. Hey, yeah. Hey, I could give you my heart, but to you I guess that's so average. So I gave you my soul and look, you stole that bitch. I wish somebody would've told that bitch that I ain't no shit. Cause once you lose your soul, you don't go back in. And just look what you did. You made a mess of my heart. You in the war in my mind. Yo, I was fine for a while till you stabbed me in spine and robbed all my joy at the same damn time. So here I am, different beat with the same damn rhyme. And I can say it's time to walk the road, but the path that least resistance leads to the same landmines that I tried to avoid. But you ain't give me a choice. Yeah, you tainted my prison when you gave me poison, sugar coated this love. Should've listen to the noise from above. And now here we are, fading the black, raiding the back of my brain for answers to what can't be explained. Before you explain, but now it will never be the same. I take a trip on the rain, yo, just a trip on the train. To end all this pain is what's keeping me sane, yo. But I'm lost and I'm tired to the boss. I'm retired, but I'm thinking that getting the holler, baby, like boss. Yo, when I give it my all, yo, even if it's I lost, cause I'd rather have loved than lost than never at all. I'm checking out for the moment, but we both know I'm never leaving. Because she called run and she sucked my butt just like a demon. I fuck her like a heathen, yo, till she heavy breathing. I give her Libra love from a Tennessee, and the energy I feed it. Toxicity in the system surely leave me feeding. But the drug is righteous and it had me believing that she stay a little longer though. It always leave me bleeding. I would keep on keeping all the secrets long as I can hit it deep. Yeah, I get away for your spell, baby. You got me living in hell, yeah. It's a taste of the spell, baby. You got me miserable as well. Hey, yo, with the things that you do, yeah. Yo, but I just can't leave you alone. I get away for your spell, baby. You got me living in hell, yeah. It's a taste of the spell, baby. You got me miserable as well. Hey, yo, with the things that you do, hey, but I just can't leave you alone. Yo, it's always talking about this magic, and I see this fucking beat is going on, and I'm about to hit the standards, but I cannot breathe without you. Just like you a scuba diving, and I had to do the self-contained underwater breathing apparatus, and I got you on my back, and I'm just trying to get up in your jacket, but you put me up in the house with ivory gates and the fucking lanterns, and I'm like, hey, baby, yeah, I thought I fucking had it, but you said, here was the ladder, long as I was giving you better. You said that you were shaking just to get that better. I said I had to give you applause, cause I love to clap and I like to make it clap, and I like how you stack everything down when you do it to me. Yeah, you said you want to tell these things what's like it's Lucy, yeah. And I'm always saying my dreams so loose that I know that I'm always about to lose it. But yeah, I get away for your spell, baby. You got me living in hell, hey, yeah, it's the taste of the spell, baby. It got me miserable as hell, hey, yeah. Yo, it's the thing that you do, hey, yo, but I just can't leave you alone. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm probably gonna leave this as it is. So let's see what's up with it. I'll leave it like this, dog. Yeah. All right, BBQ is out. I'm probably not gonna leave it like this.